There were hundreds of us, working at literary agencies.
Tabs, wrong. Margins, wrong. Really, everything wrong.
We answered calls for our bosses.
Hello.
Fetched them water, never belying the fact that we wanted to be writers ourselves. Guess who my boss represents?
And Rice?
The Pope, Thomas Pynchon.
J.D. Salinger.
No way.
He's still alive?
Hey guys, Law with Hollywood First Look Features, and today I'm sitting down with real-life inspiration Joanna Rakoff and director Philippe Falardeau from My Salinger Year. Something that I did love about the book and the story is that it does take place over a literal calendar year from January all the way through. But for you, it's more of a several Salinger years now with your radio documentary, a memoir, now a film adaptation, which you had a cameo in. So my first question to you is, do you feel extraordinary?
Oh my gosh, no one has ever asked me that in my entire life. Okay, maybe I do. I don't know. I spend so much of my time just sitting at my desk, writing. I have a new book that is now overdue because of the pandemic. I have 3 kids, one of whom doesn't sleep. And I spend a lot of my time feeling like a lot of people during the pandemic, but me even before the pandemic feeling like very tired and bedraggled and like I'm failing at everything because I'm, trying to like keep my kids from failing out of remote school, and becoming depressed and trying to keep my 5-year-old from not destroying my house. And then also trying to write a book and write articles for magazines and what have you. But, when deep down, maybe I do feel extraordinary, actually.
The book was an homage to the literary world. And on top of that, you're telling a story that's set in New York during the 90s. How did you approach telling a very kind of specific story to a more international audience?
Actually, you never think about it this way when you start to work on adapting a book, or else it becomes way too overwhelming. You try to find what moved you as a person. I mean, I'm a bit older than Joanna, but I grew up in the 90s. I had the same references. And I think I could relate to that moment in your life where you have ambitions, but you're not quite sure if you can achieve them, or even if you're allowed to achieve them, especially in your first job where you have to, be at your desk and do what they ask you to do. I can relate to that. I also can relate to when we get our first job and we have an opportunity to progress and but you're asking yourself, am I at the right place? Is this really what I want to do? So if you ask these like universal questions, I think you can eventually reach out to a wider audience.
MA in English literature.
What do you like to read?
Laurie, Hammett, Donald Westlake.
To be in this field, you'll need to read authors who are alive.
You keep saying you want to write, but you work long hours for other writers.
Dear boy from Winston-Salem, if you want to uphold the spirit of Holden, try not to care too much about how people judge you. Sincerely, Joanna Rakoff. These letters had changed me. Someone should go to the meeting in Washington.
I suppose I could send me.
Can you talk about what it was like being kind of an aimless 20-something-year-old in the mid-90s in New York, especially in the literary world?
The world has changed so radically. And I feel like that experience for a 23-year-old today would be quite different, like for obvious reasons, like obviously because of smartphones and social media and everything. But then there's a lot that is the same. So being a kind of, ambitious but aimless 23-year-old in 1996, I went to a lot of parties. In the book, you see this a little bit more than in the film. There's one very, very accurate party scene at a rooftop party, but I probably went to a party every night, which makes it sound like I'm a kind of like extroverted party person, and I'm not. It just was, that's what the world was. Like working as an assistant in publishing, you got paid almost nothing, but you got invited to all of these lavish book parties. Like, if that sounds glamorous and fun, it actually felt glamorous and fun.
Why was it important for you to show those whimsical moments, that kind of magic of, expression through Joanna's point of view in the film?
Joanna wants to become a poet, and she's an assistant. And then, so I'm thinking, I can't have her just read or poetry or write poetry. I need to find poetic way to convey that, but with cinematic means. I thought this was the perfect opportunity for me to, you know, let go a little bit and let that imagination flow.
My Salinger Year is out now in theaters and on demand. My name is Law with Hollywood First Look Features, and we'll catch you next time.
Fine, agent. But you have other aspirations.
I didn't want to be ordinary. I want to be extraordinary.
Make a noise.